Okay, so let's go and start with simple SQL commands. So one of the first commands that we can try, and you can try in any table, is let's just get everything that we have. So you want to get all columns and all records from patients table here. Here is our database. So let's look at the schema. Here we have patients table, we have doctors table, we have admissions table, we have provinces table, province names table. So we can start by saying select everything from patients. So if I'll do that, if I'll run this command right here, there is a run button. You can see I get back a table. Down here, now there's a response, there's a table. Those capitalized words that are in blue called SQL keywords, and they essentially tell SQL what to do. Here we're asking SQL to start selecting something. Let's grab some data. This asterisk is saying I want all of the columns and data within those columns that exist in the table. So you can see there's column patient ID, first name, last name, gender, birthday, city. So just like in the schema, patient ID, first name, last name, gender, and so on, right? This is patients right here. So asterisk is easy to use because you can get all of the columns and you can know them immediately. You don't know the table, you can get all of the columns, you can see all of them. Now you can get, instead of asterisk, you can get specific columns. You're still going to get all of the records. It's still going to be 4,530 results. So that's the amount of records that's coming back. But let's say I want to have only first name column and last name, right? So you can separate them by comma. Here I selected two columns. I'm only getting first name and last name of patients right now. Run it. Here we have first name and last name. Same amount of records returned, just showing two columns, right? So let's get back to getting everything. So use an asterisk, run it again. Here we have all the information. Now, from is a pointer, again, another SQL keyword that tells, okay, SQL, you have to do something. So here it's actually pointing to some place. And in our case, we're pointing to patients table. So you can see, you can read this in English, and in English it says, select everything, select all of the columns and data within those columns from patients table. That's how you can read it. That's what this command means. So you can go ahead and type this out and try running it under this link, so sqlpractice.com. You can also try and grab everything from doctors. So let's go and select everything from doctors. And you can see it suggests you, okay, doctors table. Okay, here I selected doctors, run it again. And now you can see it change. So we got doctor ID, doctor first name, last name, and their specialty. You can also see that aside from the keywords that like they're highlighted in blue and they're capitalized, SQL doesn't care for new lines, right? So this is still going to work. And SQL doesn't care for new additional spaces. You have to have initial space. Additional spaces doesn't matter. So I can go back to patients table. It can look like this. I can still run it and it's still going to work. Why is it done? Well, because you can structure your statements that way that it's easier to read. Like I prefer to put new keywords on a new line. So select keyword, my first keyword, so select everything, and then new keyword from, and then patients table. Sometimes you will see a semicolon at the end. So this is just an indicator that it is end of your statement. If you have a semicolon, make sure you have it once at the very end of your command. If you put it somewhere else, like here, and try to run it, it says syntax error. So you're going to break your request. So if you use semicolon, use it once at the very end of your statement. Okay. All right. So we just grabbed everything from patients. Now you can get specific columns, right? As I said. So for example, we can get first name and last name from patients, right? And what do you see here? This table, right? We actually did not change anything. This table that is returned is a result table. That's a temporary table based on your request. Nothing gets changed in the database. You just retrieve an information. and doing select everything from patient, you just retrieved all the information that exists in the patient's table. Now, if you want to get like first name, last name from patients, those columns, you can type that out too. So just get first name and last name from the patients. All right, perfect. Let's move to the next one. So retrieving all data is nice, but you also want to start searching for specific data, and you can do it using where keyword. So our statement kind of grows in complexity. The first part stays the same, so we say select everything from patients, right? Run it. We get all of the columns, all of the data. Now we can say where, that's our new keyword that starts the search. Then you need to provide the column name. So for example, gender, and then you need to provide value. So equals and some value that you're searching. So if you're searching for a text value or anything that contains letter, you have to put it in quotes. Double quotes or single quotes, doesn't matter. If you're searching for an integer value, you can put it without quotes, just like that. Now, if you're going to put text value without quotes, so for example, you're searching for all the patients where first name column, right, has name Donald. Donald is a text value. It has an equal, so it looks for an exact match, so it has to be capitalized, starts with a capital D. If you're going to have it without quotes, it's not going to work. It's going to think it's a column. Because it's a text value, you have to put quotes on each side. Run again. Now we have all patients whose first name is Donald. If we were looking for a number value for integer, so we can say patient ID is number 77777, right? Because it's an integer value, column contains integers, you don't have to provide quotes. Okay, so just be aware of that. Looking up text values, make sure you have them encased in quotes. Single quotes or double quotes, doesn't matter. You have to open with the same quote and just close with the same quote, right? Either single or double. So here we have an example where we're selecting, and by the way, you can go into here we have questions, so you can go into questions and you can select different types and questions to solve. So for example, let's go all keywords, difficulty easy, and here's our question. Let's read it. Okay, it has, so show name, you don't have it solved, so you're just gonna see the question itself. So it says show first name and last name and gender of patients whose gender is M. So let's get all of the male patients, right? We can start with requesting everything. So select everything from patients. So let's just select everything first. We did this before. We got the patient's table back. Now we can say, delete the semicolon. We can go to a new line and say where, and then gender, so we're looking into the gender column, equals to male, capital M. Run it, and now we have all of the male patients coming back. Now it says incorrect solution because in the question it asks show first name and last name and gender. So instead of getting all of the columns, we want to get first name column, last name column, and gender column. Run it again, and we got a correct solution. Perfect. Okay. So this is when you need to get some specific value. You know the exact value you want to get. It's going to be an exact match. So you will use equals, right? Now, when you have a missing value is null, you have to search a little bit differently. You have to provide is null instead of equals something. It has to be is null. So some records might have like no first name, no last name, maybe the date of birth wasn't entered, so maybe some information is missing, and you want to find those records that have an information missing. For maybe you need to add this information, like allergies, right? Allergies, some of the patients have no allergies to any medicine. You want to find those patients. So in order to do that, you will have to say where. Again, we started our search with the where keyword. Then we need to provide the column that we're searching in. So allergies, that's the column name. And then we have to say is null. So, and run it. And now we have all of the patients that have no any allergies to any medication. If we go into the questions, here is, it's also one of the questions, one of the tasks. So on easy, you have show first name and last name of patient who does not have allergies. So first name, last name, patients, allergies is null. Run it, and here we have a list. Here we have a solution of all the patients with null allergies. If you want to see all information about them, again, you can put asterisk after select instead of column names, run it, and here we are. Okay. Now next slide. So here you can use different operators. Not only equal, you can use larger, larger or equal, smaller, smaller or equal, and even between keyword to find different range of values. So for example here, let's find all the patients whose height, where height, so if we put equal, we can find one parameter. So equals 191, right? Run it, and we have now all patients with height 191. Let's find 250, if there's anyone 250. Okay, no one is 250. Okay, let's find everyone whose height is larger than, let's say, 200. Run it. We got 315 people. Okay, let's do 230. Run it. No one. 220. Okay, couple people. 24. Okay, we got 2 people. So you can see height is larger than 224. So 226, 225. You can say is smaller than 224, and then you'll get everyone else, right? Who is smaller than 224 in height. You can find between. So let's say we want to find people with a specific weight. So we can say select first name and last name columns from patients, and also let's add weight so it's visible. From patients table where weight between 100 and 120. So between those two values, run it, and we got 952 people. So let's say, what is the highest here? Let's do 19. Okay, still a good amount of people. Select all of the columns. Yeah. So the highest is 120. So we got 119. So including 119 and including 120. So 119 and 120. That's all we got here for the weight. So when we have a value that we want to search between, we can use between keyword. Another way to do it is to do with operators. So larger, larger equal, smaller, smaller equal. We can have the same exact request, but just instead of using between, we can use larger or equal to 100 and weight smaller or equal to 120. So let's do, instead of 100, 119. And again, we can just read this as we would read it in pure English. So let's do select everything, select all of the columns from patients table where weight is equal or more than 119 and weight is less or equal to 120. Run it, and here we are. It's our table that's coming back, 120 and 119. All right. The next one, let's do the next one. So sometimes you want to exclude some value. So we're going to use not keyword. And you also want to find multiple values in one column. For that, we're going to use in keyword. So let me show you how it's done. So for example, let's go back and get everything from patients. So select everything from patients as your first step. Now let's exclude everyone who is male. So we can say select everything from patients, and let's say where, then we want to put not, then the name of the column where we're doing search, gender, and then equals to male. So not gender, or gender is not something, right? Run it, and we get back all of the females. Okay? So that's if you want to exclude something from your search. The next keyword is in. Now in, pay attention, instead of equal, we will use in. And then in parentheses, you'll be able to provide multiple values. So let's say we want male and female. And remove not. So in will be used instead of equal because you can't do equal and do a multiple search. It's going to break, right? Equal is expecting only one value here. So we're going to say in, and then you have to put your values in parentheses. Still have to have them in quotes. Still have to have them separated. So let's get all patients that have allergies to, let's do penicillin, for example, and sulfa, right? Run it, and we have penicillin sulfa. So 1,200 patients have allergies to penicillin sulfa. So we provided multiple values here, right? Okay. So the next set of keywords is and or keywords. So first one is and using and keyword, you can provide multiple conditions for your search. For example, here we have select everything from patients where weight is more than 130. Okay, we sorted by weight, so everyone is higher than 130. Then we can add another condition. Let's say and height is higher than what we got here, 213. 213, right? Run it. We got 3 patients back. You will get response back only if all of the conditions are true for a record. So in order for the system to show something back to you, your weight the weight of the person have to be more than 130. The height have to be more than 230. So this and this, so both of the conditions, they have to be true for that record. And there are only 3 records where both of those conditions are true. So patient 2466, weight is 132, so it's higher than 130. Height is 213, is higher than, so have to be more than 213. Height is 224, so it is higher. So only when both of those conditions are met, the value will be returned. So and helps you to narrow down your search, have like multiple criterias for the results to be returned. You can add another and let's say and city have to be, and let's add Waterford, right? another condition. So when this is true and this is true and this, let's run it. And we got now one record that matches all of those conditions. So by using AND keyword, you can narrow down your search, you can specify multiple columns and provide like specific details to get the result back. Okay. There is another keyword though, and it's called OR. So you can use OR to return any record that is true to either of the filters. So either of the conditions. And let's take a look at this request. So again, select everything from patients where weight is 300 or height is where weight is more than 300 or height is more than 225. Run it, and you see there's only one patient. So weight, is the weight more than 300? No, weight is 121. Height is 226, and the requested height was more than 225, so the height is okay. So it found one criteria in a record that is true, and it returned that record. So for the OR record, if either this or this is true in a record, this record will be returned, right? If I will put here AND, for AND, both of the conditions have to be true. So weight have to be more than 300, height have to be more than 225. There will be no such record. There's no such record. If I'll run it now, it will say no rows to display. So essentially, it didn't find anyone that has weight more than 300 and height more than 225. If I will put OR back and run it again, you will see it returns patient 773 because its height is higher than 226. So this was true for that record, and the whole record was returned, even though the weight was false. So true, if one condition is true in OR, it will be returned, right? In the case of AND, everything have to be true for the record to be returned. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here we're gonna practice probably the most useful search that you'll have to remember. It's partial search. So now instead of equal sign, we're gonna use like keyword. So no more equal. So here we said everything from patients where let's say gender equals to M. The thing is, was equal. Equal is looking for an exact match. If I have, instead of capital M, you see in gender capital M, if I'll have instead of capital M, lower m, and try to find it, it won't find it. Because equal is looking for an exact match, right? Now with like keyword, it's not the case. So instead of equal, we're gonna use like, that's not a keyword. And I can search now and still get value M back because a like does ignore capitalization, right? Now, another thing with the like keyword, you can use wild characters. So %sign and underscore. So you can use it with where, with like, %sign and underscore for partial search, right? For example, you can use like and underscore wild character to find match with partial value. So here we're going to find, let's find all patients whose last name starts with K. So select everything from patients where last name like K %sign. So K have to be first character, and then here is a %sign, mean anything goes here. Let's run it. I think it doesn't like this quotes. Let's run again. Okay. Yep. So you can see last name, all of the patients is starting with K. K, K, K. We can say we wanted KO. So now it reads like select everything from patients where last name of the patients starts with KO, and then anything goes. So because there's like and the percent sign, any KO pattern will be matched. So let's run it. Co. Let's say KOW. So at least first 3 letters have to be KOW. Run it. Last name KOW. I think it should find this record. Okay, here we go. Kowalski. And then this percent sign means like whatever is there will be included. So all of that part came from the percent sign, Alski, right? You can reverse it and say, hey, it can start with anything, but let it end with a special character. So let's find all of the patients whose last name ends with K. Run it, and you see back or bank. Let's say Bach. So let's find all of the patients where last name like Bach, like percent sign Bach. So can't start with anything, have to have Bach at the end. Run it, and here we have callback. Now, what if I want just a particular set of things included, right? Somewhere in the middle, not at the end, not at the start. Then you can incorporate values in the percent sign from each side. So let's do birth date. Birth date. So select everything from patients where birth date like percent sign 986-10-2 percent sign. So can start with anything, can end with anything, but must include 986, 10, and 2. Let's run it, and here we have it. 4 records that include this pattern. So any pattern, if you want to match any pattern, like if you want to match a pattern that you provide, encase it in the percent sign. You can also find like separate words and spaces. So what if I want last name that has 2 words in it? So where last name like percent sign space percent sign. This can be a whole word. This can be a whole word, and there have to be a space in between. Run it. Okay, so there are no double last names. What if it has a dash in between? Okay, here is a dash. All of last names was a dash. All right, so we know how to find records that start with a specific character, end with a specific character. We can find characters with a specific pattern. So let me just copy this. By the way, 2 dashes over here, this is a comment, right? SQL ignores comments. You can say this is bananas. SQL gonna ignore it. So developers leave comments in their code so they can know what the code does. They can come back to it, read it, and understand what they were writing. So the comment is going to be ignored by SQL. This is for us. But we look in any last name of a patient that has RL anywhere in the name. So percent sign, RL, percent sign. Run it. Go to the last name Arley, Pearl. So Arl. All of them have it, right? And then with the underscore, if you play like Wheel of Fortune or saw it on TV, right? It's just one character that is missed. You can have multiple underscores. So let's say something like this. Select everything from patients where first name like G_A. So first name have to start with G. Second character can be anything. Third character have to be Y. So if I'll do a search, I have all the first names where the first name is Guy. So this one character, one underscore, was filled. I can have underscore Y. Now I have Amy, K, so 2 first characters can be anything. the last one have to be Y. I can have just 2 underscores, so any first name with 2 characters will show up because it has 2 underscores. If I have 1, well, no rows found, so there's no match. Okay. All right. And you can also combine them. So here's an example where we're searching by city. So select everything from patients where city like R underscore D, percent sign, R underscore D space percent sign. Run it. So it means that city have to have 2 words. First word have to start with R. Here's R. Second character can be anything. So here's E. Third one have to be D. Here it is. Then have to be space. There is a space here. And then anything else after that. Any other thing. And we have Red Deer and Red River. So bunch of cities, bunch of patients from Red Deer and Red River. So it can be river here, deer, or anything else that it is in the table. All right, perfect. Now we can also order by specific order in ascending or descending order. So here is one example where we can select all the patients or select all of the columns from the patients table, and then we can order by height in descending order. Let's run it. Now we have the patients from the highest to lowest, from 226, 225, 224, and down to the smallest height. So we can order by descending order, or we can order by ascending order. Ascending order. So that will be ascending. Why is it not working? Ascending, run it. Okay, here we go. So by ascending order, select everything from patients ordered by height in ascending order. So from the lowest to the highest. 25, 26, 27, and so on. See, it goes from the lowest to the highest now. So you can order by specific column in ascending or descending order.